Hello, everybody. This is Chris Barron from the Partnership for Learning in Ready, Washington. Today we're going to talk about state testing, the basics on assessments. Today we are joined by Robin Munson. Robin, I'll attempt to say your whole title. Robin Munson, Assistant Superintendent for Assessment and Student Information at the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction. I think you win for longest title. Welcome.
Thank you.
So,
happy to be here.
Yeah, so people can see on the screen the agenda that we'll talk about. We'll break down what's happening in state testing this year. So first, we'll start with grades 3 through 8. And you can see on your screen what's there, but anything new this year, Robin, or is it similar to 2015?
2016 will be very similar to 2015. Last year was the first year that we began Smarter Balanced Assessments. So we are entering year 2 for that, and we offer those tests in math and English language arts, which we refer to as ELA. Students in grades 3 through 8 will take both of those assessments, most of which will be taken online on the computer. And there are very few schools who will be offering a paper pencil version of the test, but generally most of our 3rd through 8th graders will be taking the tests online.
So it was 97, 98% last year that took it online in the state? Somewhere
right, in the lower grades. Yes, virtually everybody took the tests online. We expect that to only increase this year.
Okay, so in grades 3 through 8, you have the Smarter Balanced Math and English Language Arts test, and then in grades 5 and 8, you have we still have the measurements of student progress, but that's just in science right now in grades 5 and 8, and that will change sometime in the future, correct?
That's right. We are still assessing with the measurements of student progress. Our learning standards that were in place prior to adoption of our brand new learning standards, which are called Next Generation Science Standards. So we are developing the new tests and hope to have those available to students in spring of 2018. But for the time being, students are still being assessed using the measurements of student progress.
Okay. So we'll move on to high school. High school is a little more complicated than the grades 3 through 8.
It certainly is. It is. And one of the most important...
3 slides of complication here, so that we'll hopefully explain to folks.
Right. The big distinction is the distinction between the assessments that are used for high school accountability, so for school and district accountability per state and federal law, versus tests that are used for graduation purposes, so tests that are used as exit exams. So this first slide just talks about the tests that are used for high school accountability, which are the Smarter Balanced tests in English language arts and math, and then the biology end of course exam.
So that's required under the federal requirements as far as test in math and English, and then science in grades in elementary, middle, and high schools, basically.
Exactly.
Okay. Then for year-end testing, high school graduation, we do have a note per current laws of March 22nd, 2016, because the state legislature is still in session as of this.
That's right.
And
That's right.
We'll just put that note there just in case. So talk about what's going on in testing as far as for high school graduation, because that's been changing the last few years, as we know.
Right. So like last year, 10th graders will take the Smarter Balanced English Language Arts test for graduation purposes. And on the previous slide, we indicated that quite a few students met standard on that test last year. So students who earned a level 3 or 4 on the English Language Arts test last year as a 10th grader will not need to take the 11th grade test for accountability. They will already count as students who participate in the test and are proficient, even though they won't actually be taking the test again. Now,
Okay.
please go to the next slide.
Yep.
So 10th graders this year should take the Smarter Balance test for graduation purposes. Again, if they earn a level 3 or 4, they won't need to retake it next year. Students in the class of 2018 or earlier, so 2018, class of 2017, class of 2016, should take the Algebra 1 end of course exam or the Geometry end of course exam because they need to pass one or the other of those or the Smarter Balanced math test for graduation purposes.
Basically 3 options for math tests to meet the graduation.
Right, for the class of 2015, 16, 17, and 18. The class of 2019 will need to meet standard on the Smarter Balance test, and that's the only test that counts. So that's why we've specified the class of 2018 or earlier. So 10th graders this year who have completed Algebra 2 may try the Smarter Balanced math test as a 10th grader rather than waiting till 11th grade. And this will help those students who are in advanced math classes in 10th grade take the Smarter Balanced test closer to when they're taking the course. It should also help alleviate some of the concerns we heard last year about 11th graders taking too many tests at the end of 11th grade. So some of them will essentially have it under their belt from 10th grade. So we've made that option available to 10th graders this year, that they can access the Smarter Balanced math test, but we do recommend that they would have had exposure to and completed math up through Algebra 2 because we know that that's some of the content on the math test, and we wouldn't want.
So if a student in Algebra 2 right now, they can take it, or they need to have completed the test? Okay.
No, because they'll be at the end of their Algebra 2 year, and that should give them enough math to do well on the Smarter Balanced math test.
And then you got the biology.
The biology end of course test, which if you remember from the previous slide was also for accountability, but it is a high school graduation requirement for students in the classes of 2017, 18, 19, and beyond. And so any student who's in 10th or 11th grade who hasn't already passed the biology end of course test should take that test.
Perfect. And as far as let's move on to the 2016 state testing timeline, just kind of give an overview. We do know testing is underway.
Right, testing has started. We opened the testing windows March 10th, and the testing window is the same for high schools this year. Last year we had a shorter high school window, but in order to help schools schedule testing and make use of their technology in the way that's best for the school, we've extended the high school testing window. So the testing window is very long. It's 12 weeks. That doesn't mean that any single student is testing for more than 2 or 3 days. Doesn't mean that a school is testing for all of that long time, but it is available to, the tests are available to schools for the 12-week window. Once a student completes, the district will receive that individual student score within 3 weeks of a student completing an online test or 4 weeks of a student completing a paper pencil test. This was an expectation we had last year that our vendor wasn't able to meet, but the vendor has made significant improvements in their scoring processes and reporting processes, and we are confident that schools will have those scores right away this year as we had hoped for last year. The public release of testing still will be in August because we also have paper-based end-of-course tests for high school students which need to be scored over the course of the summer. So we can't do a release of all of our state testing scores until we have all of the tests in. And likewise, parents will receive their student score reports at the very end of summer as school staff get back to school. They'll receive the paper reports, and those will be sent out to parents.
But the important thing to note on that, and the distinction maybe some folks didn't understand last year, is that the scores are in the hands of the school.
Exactly.
And, much earlier. So.
Right, which will help with course placement and any kind of planning that the schools need to do for the services that students will need next year. And many of our schools and districts have online reporting systems for parents, and once they receive those schools, they can import those scores into their parent portals. So many parents will see their students' test scores online from their district long before they receive a paper report provided by the state.
Okay. And as we see on the slide on this screen, as we've noted last year, Smarter Balanced students took that for the first time in spring 2015. There was a 95% participation in grades 3 through 8. And talk about Washington, that last bullet, Washington students performed pretty well in grades 3 through 8 in ELA.
That's right, both in math and ELA, but particularly in math. Washington was the highest performing state in all but one grade in math, and in English language arts we were, as the slide says, at the top or near the top across the grade levels. That wasn't true in high school, as explained by our next slide, where we had a significant number of refusals in 11th grade. Our high school students, many of our high school students, about half of our high school students refused to take the test. And we think by the performance of the other half, many of the students who did take the test didn't do their best on the test itself. But in 10th grade, we had nearly all of the students did take the Smarter Balanced English Language Arts test, all of our 10th graders, which was required for graduation for that cohort of students. And we had a 97% participation of 10th graders on the high school Smarter Balanced ELA test. And of those, 74% of the students earned that level 3 or 4, which will keep them from having to take the test this year as an 11th grader.
And that's a college and career ready level, and it can
count.
That's
the college and career ready level, which will help them, and we'll talk about in a moment the memorandum of understanding that we have. It also will help their schools in terms of school and district accountability, because it is that level 3 or 4, which will count as a meeting standard for their school. And because they've already met that standard, even though they won't be taking the test this year, the schools will get the benefit of saying those students participated and took the test. So it's a win-win for everybody.
And then the 82% passed at graduation.
Yeah, the 82%. So our state board was given the authority to set a lower cut score for purposes of graduation. And so we picked up another proportion of students, another 8% of students who will be able to say they've fulfilled their high school graduation requirement, even though they haven't earned the college and career ready levels. So
these are really good data points, though, that really show.
That's right.
You know, if a student, high expectations of student, there's expectations of taking the test and what they can do. I mean, this is with the high test refusal in 11th grade. You know, we heard the students are set up to fail, those kind of messages, but the 10th grade scores really show that.
Right. Washington students are well prepared to be able to pass these tests, and having 74% of our 10th graders pass the high school test was certainly an indication of that.
And those 74%, as we see on the current slide, now, can qualify for college level courses based on the Smarter Balanced agreement with our post-secondary institutions.
That's right. We have all of our institutions of higher education in our state, all of the four-year schools, as well as all of the community colleges. And it's not just our four-year public schools, but all but one private school have agreed to this memorandum of understanding, which says if you earn that college and career ready level while you are in high school and you take an appropriate English or math course as a 12th grader, when you enroll in the college of your choice, the year after high school, you don't need to take the placement course, and you won't be placed in remedial coursework. If you, the note there is the caution that if the student is looking to be placed in a much higher level course in that freshman year, they may need additional placement testing.
Sure. And then there are students who score at a level 2 below college ready in our state, so say 11th graders who scored a level 2 on the math, they actually have a good option in 12th grade, and it's actually an option my daughter.
That's right.
Taking a Bridge to College transition course.
Right. So the Bridge to College transition courses were developed as a collaborative effort between our institutions of higher education and OSPI. Courses are being offered in many districts around the state for 12th graders to learn the content that would make them college and career ready. And all of the two-year institutions in our state plus Eastern Washington University have agreed that if a student earns a level 2 in Smarter Balance and then takes the Bridge to College course and earns a grade of B or higher, they then fall under that memorandum of understanding of not needing to take a placement test and going into coursework that is not remedial.
Perfect. Well, Robin, we greatly appreciate you joining us today to help clarify all that's going on in our state assessment system. It's Robin Munson, Assistant Superintendent for Assessment and Student Information. And if
Thank you, Chris.
On the screen you have your information, WATesting.com, readywah.org, if you need more information. So thanks, Robin. Appreciate it.
Thank you.